Hi, welcome. For today's class, I would encourage you to gather together a blanket and then maybe something that's like a strap. If you have a yoga strap, that's lovely. I don't, so I just use this strap that I got on my travels. But a really good option for you could be a sash to your bathrobe or a belt or anything else that you have that happens to be a strap of, reasonable length. So gather those things together and join me on your mat. I encourage you to sit up on the edge of a blanket, just the very edge, to keep your spine nice and lengthened with the natural curvature of your spine. And just arrive here. Maybe close your eyes or at least soften your gaze. Notice your breath. Is it long? Is it short? Is it deep? Is it shallow? Is it smooth? Is it ragged? Today we're going to be exploring one of the niyamas, which I'll call surrender, but the Sanskrit word is Ishvara Pranidhana. And we'll explore that as we go through the poses. But for now, let's slow down our breath with some movement. So gently opening your eyes. Bring your arms up overhead as you inhale. And exhale, push out to the side. Inhale, arms to your shoulders. Exhale, push away, round the spine. Inhale, reach up, lengthen the spine. Exhale, reach forward, fingertips touch the ground. As you inhale, come all the way up to seated, arms come up and around. Exhale, push out to the sides. We'll do the same thing 2 more times here. Inhale, fingertips to shoulders. Exhale, push away. Inhale, arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, forward fold, fingertips to the floor. Last round here. Inhale, sit all the way up. Arms come up and around. Exhale, push out to the sides. Inhale, fingertips to shoulders. Exhale, push away. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, forward, fingertips to the floor. And just breathe here for 2 breaths. And then walk your hands in. Push yourself up all the way to seated. And then we'll come to lying down on our back. Grab your strap of whatever sort it is. And just let yourself gently come down onto your back. Keep your legs bent and the soles of your feet on the floor. And then take your strap, bring your left foot in, put your strap around the ball of your foot and stretch your leg up to the ceiling, really flexing your foot. Hold on to your strap with your left hand and pull the strap so you're pulling your left leg towards you. try to straighten out your leg. Now you can leave your right leg where it is, or if it's possible for you, extend your right leg down, and you'll notice maybe your left leg comes away a little bit, and that's okay. Just keep pulling. Maybe use both hands, maybe just your left hand. Just be relaxed in this, but you're giving a nice long stretch in the back of the left hamstring here. Oftentimes we have pain in our low back, and that can be caused from our very tight hamstrings. And so getting a good stretch into the hamstrings can really help with our low back. So keep pushing into that left heel as you're pulling back. Now, if it feels better to bend your knee just a little bit, you'll still get sensation in the back of your hamstring. So see what works for you. And breathe here. And now switch the strap to your right hand and bring your left foot over just a little bit. So maybe it's in line with your right arm. And hold on to that strap they're pulling in. And you'll notice how that changes the stretch to be the kind of the outside of the left hamstring and the side of the left thigh. So pulling that in a little bit more, maybe even using your other hand, seeing what feels good to you. Making sure that you keep your breath nice and smooth. And keeping the back of the sacrum, that left side of it, still on the ground as you're pulling your leg towards you and just a little bit over to the right. And then go ahead and bend your knee and let the strap off your foot and extend your legs long. And notice just extending both legs and both arms, how your left leg might feel like it's almost a little bit longer than your right leg. And take 2 breaths here. And then bend both of your legs so that the soles of your feet are on the floor, and then bring your right knee into the chest and wrap your strap around the ball of the right leg or right foot. And then with your right hand, pulling the strap so that you're lengthening that leg. And then if you can extend your left leg long. You can keep this right leg a little bit bent if that's what works for you, or try to extend and straighten, pulling that leg towards you. Never forcing or straining, but just giving a little gentle tug to that leg. Breathing here. It's nice if your right elbow can maybe be on the ground, giving yourself some support there. And switch the strap to your left hand And pull your right foot over to the left just a little so that it's in line with your left hand. Left elbow is on the ground. Still pulling the leg into you, but starting to feel the stretch on the outside of the right thigh. And breathing into that. And see if you can pull in, use your right hand now, pull in just a little bit more. Not forcing or straining, but just noticing if you've opened up just a little bit. 2 more breaths here. And then bring the knee into the chest and remove the strap around your foot. And then extend your legs long, extend your arms long, and notice how maybe your legs have evened out some here. Now bring your knees into your chest, hug them in tight. Move them around in a nice big circle. Go the other direction. And then coming back to center, we'll roll ourselves back up to seated. So maybe taking a couple of rolls to get all the way up to seated. And then coming to center and you should use your blanket and come sitting on the edge of your blanket. Bring the soles of your feet together, letting your knees come down to the sides. Maybe push your feet a little further away so that you have a nice diamond shape with your legs. And with your next exhale, just let yourself come forward. Rounding the spine there like it's a slinky. And you're making a rainbow out of the back of your neck or of your spine. So just coming as far as is comfortable for you. It may be that you come just a little bit forward and let your arms be on your, maybe on your thighs. Wherever they land is fine. You can have your head in line with your spine, or you can let your head drop forward. See what feels good to you. Possibly you can support your head with your hands. So maybe bringing your fingertips together, supporting your forehead with your fingertips. Maybe if you're coming forward a little bit more onto your shins, maybe your thumbs can be on the inside of your eye sockets on either side of your nose bridge. Just supporting yourself there. And just letting yourself relax into the pose, releasing and surrendering into the pose. So there are lots of ways that people think about this last tenet of the niyamas. So the first 2 limbs of yoga are the yamas and the niyamas. In a sense, we might think of them as the 10 commandments of yoga, although that's not exactly right, but there are 10 of them. And Ishvara Pranidhana is the last one of the niyamas. And one way to think about it is simply doing your best in every way. So be a job, large or small, Do it right or don't do it at all. So if you're working, work hard. If you're a parent, parent as well as you can. No matter what job it is in your life, just do the best you can. And that's one way of thinking of this. And now on your next inhale, put your hands on the floor and push yourself up, all the way up to seated. And then bring your knees together. Reach back with your hands onto the floor behind you, and then push your hips up to the sky for a reverse tabletop. And then back down. Inhale back up. Exhale back down. And one more time. Inhale up and exhale back down. Nice. And take a few breaths here. Sit up nice and tall, maybe holding onto your knees. And then with as few movements as you can, bring your knees around to the side. We'll come first to a tabletop. And then bring your forearms down to the ground and let your knees slide back. We'll come to Sphinx pose. So elbows beneath your shoulders, hands straight ahead, fingers wide, pushing your hips into the floor, pushing your feet into the floor. You should feel some sensation in the low back. Head can be in line with the spine, or you can let your head hang heavy. Just as before, you can maybe walk your elbows forward just a bit and bend your arms, and then support your head with your fingers so that you have that support. And then a last couple of modifications you can try out. So one is if this is too much in your low back, you can bring your arms forward a little bit more so that you're going not quite so far. But if you feel nothing in your low back, then you can come up a little bit higher by putting a blanket underneath your elbows. So coming up a little bit higher. So do what's right in your body. And we'll stay here for a couple of minutes. So another way that we think of this surrender tenet of yoga is really along the lines of realizing that we are not alone. We are not the only important thing in the universe. We are part of a community, maybe this small yoga community. We're part of a larger community, maybe our city or our neighborhood, our state, our country, the world, the universe. And so maybe we can realize that while we might be quite important in our lives, and we may be captaining our ship by choosing the direction, we don't have complete control. We don't control the weather. And so just recognizing that there is something bigger than ourselves. And that's the other way of thinking of Ishvara Pranidhana. So bring your hands underneath your shoulders and then push yourself back up to tabletop. And we'll just take a counter pose here with some cat and cow. So push into your arms, push into your hands, into the fingertips and knuckles. And on your inhale, look forward, drop your belly, lift your tail in cow pose. And exhale, round your spine, let your head drop, looking back at your thighs. Inhale back to cow, dropping the belly, looking forward. And exhale, round the spine, cat pose, looking back at your thighs. Just going back and forth with the flow of your own breath. Maybe rocking forward and back with your cat and cow. We do a counter pose between each of the longer held poses. And I'll always recommend one, but if something speaks to you, just do what feels right in your body. And then coming to stillness, maybe bring your two knees together and come to sit on the side of your left hip. So I'm probably doing the opposite of you. And then reach over, let your hands slide over to what is probably your right if you are doing the same as me, or for me, to my left. And let your belly and your spine come closer to the floor. So we're starting to curve our spine a little to the side, right? We're getting a little bit of a side stretch here. So we're doing a side sphinx. And we'll hold this just for a minute here before we move to the other side. So breathing in, breathing out. And as you breathe out, just letting yourself relax into this pose further. Breathing in, breathing out, relaxing into the pose. Release, surrender those ribs towards the floor. And then bring your other hand to the floor to help you push yourself all the way up. And then we'll come to the other side. So either sweeping your feet to the other side or just rolling to the other side, whatever works for you. And then coming down on the other hip and down to the other elbow. And again, letting your ribs come closer to the floor on the side. So we're getting a bit of a side stretch here. So as you breathe in, nice big inhale, fill the lungs, fill the belly. And exhale, surrender, let those ribs come down. Inhale in, exhale, release. Inhaling and exhale. Last breath here. And then bring your hand down to the floor. Push yourself all the way up, coming back to a tabletop. And let your knees be nice and wide and toes come together. Bring your seat back to your feet And let your arms go forward, forward, forward. Let them slide until your forehead comes to the floor. Child's pose. Now there are lots of options here. First one is if your forehead doesn't come to the floor, you can bend your arms and pile up your hands or fists and rest your forehead on those. Another option, if this doesn't feel good in your shoulders, you can bring your hands alongside your body, your arms alongside your body, your feet, as if they're reaching towards your hands reaching towards your feet. And then last one would be if your knees do not like this flexion, if they can come down but not quite so far, you can take your blanket and lay it on top of your calves. So then your knees don't have to bend quite so much, but you have support. And then maybe coming down and reaching either forward or back. And if that is still too much flexion in your knees, you can bring your knees a little closer together, bring your hips over your knees, and just let yourself come forward there. It's a little bit different pose. We call it puppy pose or heart pose. But still your forehead comes down to the floor or onto your hands as we suggested before. So lots of options here. So keep breathing nice and slow, keeping your breath smooth and long. Sometimes on the mat, surrendering might look like accepting what your body can do today without forcing or straining. So taking advantage of some of the modifications that I've suggested here. Now, no matter where you are, maybe bring your hands out in front of you and then lift your head up off the mat, walk your hands over to the left, and then let your head come down again and bring your arms into where they need to be, but getting a little stretch in the side body here. So feeling in the right side ribs. So today we're letting go of our personal dramas, focusing on the bigger picture in life, looking at the universe as a whole. And yoga is not really a religion. It honors whatever religious thoughts that you might have or don't have. So if you think of that kind of supreme being as being God, then that's great. If you think of it as being some higher power in the universe, that's fine too, or just your higher self, or just maybe nature. All of those work with yoga. Everything is compatible. So now walk your hands, lift your head up off the floor, walk your hands over to the right side, getting a good stretch in the left side body. Really, and maybe you even put your left hand on top of the right, getting that little extra stretch, kind of reaching your left ribs towards the floor. And breathing here. And trying to slow our breath as much as we can. And then walking your hands back to center, and then pushing yourself back up to tabletop. Bring your knees underneath your hips, wrists under your shoulders, and let your hips sway from side to side, and maybe looking over your shoulder at your hip as you go from side to side, making a nice C shape with your spine. And maybe coming back to center and then circling the hips around, coming a little forward to the side and back. And then going the other direction. And then coming to stillness and grabbing your blanket and bringing it to center so that as you come to a seated position, you can sit on the edge of your blanket and bring your legs nice and wide. And first, let's just push through the heels, really push, push, push. Spread your toes wide. Sit up nice and tall. Put your hands next to your hips on the floor or on your blanket and push up, opening your heart. And take a nice big breath here. Push a little bit more through your heels. And then relax and let your feet relax. And we'll come to a forward fold here, walking your hands out in front of you, letting your spine round like a slinky. And wherever you come to, that's your pose. That's fine. And just surrendering and accepting that's your pose. Maybe your elbows come to the floor. Maybe your forehead comes to the floor. But if it doesn't, just accept that. Just know that that's your pose today, even if it wasn't your pose yesterday. This is fine. Accept. And notice the sensations that you have in your body. What are you feeling in your hamstrings? What are you feeling in your low back? And just as in the other poses that we've been in, you can let your head hang heavy or keep it in line with your spine or support it with your hands. Do what works for you in your body. Lengthening your breath. And then pushing yourself with your hands all the way back up to seated. And then put your hands on either side of your left leg. And then walk yourself over to your left. Just letting yourself come down as long as it's comfortable for you. And maybe you even put an elbow on a leg and support your head, or let your head hang heavy. But this is very much a twist. So feel that twist as you bring your right or your left ribs over towards the right. And just noticing, can you come a little further into the pose, or what's keeping you from coming further? So not trying to force into it, but just noticing, what is it in your body? Are your legs, are your muscles having some tension that's keeping you from going further? And then push yourself back up with your hands all the way back up to center. Take a nice big breath here. And then over to the other side. So hands on either side of your right leg, and then walk your hands forward. Let yourself surrender over that right leg. And feeling that twist over on this side. And noticing what that feels like. And how does it change your breath? And notice where you're carrying some tension, and maybe in your legs. Let that go and let yourself surrender into this pose. And then push yourself back up, coming back to center. And then bringing your feet in, starting with a bit of a crisscross. Now, if you already feel this in your hips, then that may be enough, and this may be where you stay. But if your hips are pretty open, try this. This is called fire log or double pigeon. So taking your left foot and bringing it on top of your left knee. So maybe having to bring your left foot on top of your right knee, sorry. Bringing that foot over maybe a little bit so you're more centered. And it may be that your left knee is a long way from that foot underneath it, and that's okay. If you want to, you can bring, a blanket and put it in there. Or as we sit here for a few minutes, you might find that over time, this starts to open up and that knee starts to come down. So inhale your arms out to the sides. And exhale, give yourself a big hug. Push your elbows away from you. And then maybe if it's available to you, you can come to eagle arms. So grapevining your arms around each other. If not, stay in the hug asana. But pushing the elbows away from you. And then maybe starting to tick-tock your arms back and forth. And then untangle your arms and bring your shoulders up to ears and around down the spine, and then up to the ears and down and around. And one more time. And around. And notice how much your hips may have opened up at this point. And then carefully and slowly, gently bring the left foot to the floor. Let's extend our legs out long. Push through the heels, spread your toes. Wave your feet back and forth all the way up to the hips, up to the, through the thighs. There. And then we'll go to the other side. So first bending the left leg and then bringing the right leg and the right foot on top. So right foot on top of left knee. And either putting some padding in here, rolling up a blanket and putting it under here or a pillow, or just letting it be. And then reach your arms out, out, out. Maybe open up the heart. Ooh. And then big hug, other elbow on top. Push the elbows away. And then grapevining the hands in the other direction. Push your elbows out, maybe reach them up. Breathing here. And then tick-tocking your arms back and forth. And then letting go, bringing hands to the floor and shoulders come up to the ears. And then way back in a big circle down and around and up to the ears. And exhale down. And inhale up. And exhale down. And then coming back to stillness. And then gently using your hands to help your foot come off of your leg if it was there. Otherwise, of course, just being in that crisscross position, and let your legs come out long. We push into your heels, press into your hands, open your chest. Spread your toes, wiggle your toes. On your inhale, look over right shoulder. Exhale over the other shoulder. And inhaling over to the other side. And back over to the other side. Then we'll come back down to our back. So just gently coming off of your blanket. And if it feels good to you, you can rock back and forth, rolling out your spine. If this doesn't feel so great, then just gently come back onto your spine, onto your back, and come to stillness. And then eventually come all the way to stillness on your back. And bend your knees, bring the soles of your feet onto the floor. And then gently lift your hips just a couple of inches off the floor and bump your hips over to the left. Bring your arms out to a T and let your legs come over to the right. Maybe bring your right hand onto the top of the left leg to give yourself some stability. And then looking either up towards the ceiling or over your left, to your left fingertips. And releasing into this pose, letting go of all tension, just relaxing into it. Just appreciating a good twist. Really good for your internal organs, bringing blood flow to them, helping your digestion. It's all good stuff. So the quote that I had for this week's class is from a Rumi poem. Do not feel lonely. The entire universe is inside you. Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. Set your life on fire. Seek those who fan your flames. And bring your knees back up to center. Bringing your arms out to a T. Bring your hips up. Actually, bring them up as high as you can. Push into your heels. Push, push, push up. And on your next exhale, come all the way down, one vertebra at a time. And then one more time on your inhale, push into the heels. Bring your hips all the way up as high as they will go. Really pushing, pushing, keeping the knees close together and not letting them sway out to the sides. And then on your next exhale, just coming down slowly, slowly, slowly. And then this time, just bring in your hips up just a couple of inches so that you can bump them a couple of inches to the right. And then let your legs, your knees, come over to the left. Arms are at a T, and then maybe left hand comes onto right knee, looking over your right shoulder to your right fingertips or up at the ceiling. Do what feels best in your own body. Noticing how your breath changes when you're in a bit of a twist, the impact that it has on your lungs, body. And I had one more poem that I wanted to share with you. Surrender to the postures. The difficult ones reflect life's struggles. The sweet ones, our joy. Surrender to the outcome of your actions. They are not in your control. Each day, each practice, just do your best. Surrender to the actions of the universe, the marvel of nature, the things you never saw coming. Surrender to your present difficulties, the pain in your losses, especially to the things you tried so hard to control but couldn't. Surrender to the definition of yourself, your judgments. They are just your way of limiting who you are. Have a deep, unwavering trust that right now you are where you are meant to be. Feel the universe working beautiful magic through you. And then bring your knees back center. Extend your legs long into a nice big star shape. So bring your arms up overhead. Reach your fingers nice and wide, spreading fingers wide, spreading toes. Reach, 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 reach in every direction. Make yourself as big as you can. And then let yourself relax into the floor below you. And you can stay here in this star shape for Shavasana for our final resting pose. Or you can come to something that's more comfortable for you, maybe bringing your arms down. So do what feels right in your body. If you're wearing glasses, take them off. Let yourself release into our final resting pose. And just feeling yourself being supported by the floor beneath you. Rock your head from side to side, releasing your face, letting it be soft. And then releasing your shoulders, maybe wiggling them into a shape that feels good and comfortable and supported for you. Softening your belly and your hips, letting your legs and your arms feel heavy. And just feeling that support, the earth beneath you. Knowing that you are supported, you are held, you are not alone. Scan your body one more time here and notice if you're holding tension anywhere. Just breathe into that and let it go. Let yourself release and relax. And we'll stay here for a few minutes of stillness and silence. And take a moment to bring your awareness into the corners of your mouth. and just curving them upward into a very gentle smile for this last minute of Shavasana, and noticing how that changes the feelings throughout your body. Bring your awareness back into your body. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes and circle your wrists and your ankles. And then a nice full body stretch, pushing through your heels. Nice big yawn. And bend your legs one at a time. And let yourself roll to the side. And push yourself up with your hands up to a seated position. And sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, arms come up overhead, big stretch and reach. Exhale to your heart. One more time. Big inhale. And then exhale, hands come to your forehead. As a reminder of kind thoughts. To your lips for kind speech. And to your heart for kind intentions. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste. Have a lovely rest of your day or your evening, wherever you are. I hope that you will join me again another day.